Great. Then let's kick off this session today. We are here to talk about resource management, how to unite the project manager and the resource manager point of view. My name is Ingo Mayronka. I'm working with Campana and Schott. We are Platinum sponsor here at the project conference. We are located, the home base is in Germany, in Frankfurt, and we are having an office here in Atlanta, Georgia. We are 200 people delivering projects worldwide, 800 or more than 800 projects we've already delivered. But I'm not here to talk about Campana and Schott. We are talking about resource management today. To kick off, what do you think? How many projects are not successful? How many % of all projects that are conducted are not successful? State your numbers. 80%. Other numbers, come on. 70%. Okay, come on. Okay, it is a chaos report. It's 68% are not successful. Other way around, it's almost 70. Here we go. Yeah, you won. That means 32 are successful, 44% are not delivering in time, budget, or quality. One of those is not met, and 24% are just stopped. I did some research, and I found out one of the top reasons that projects fail is because of inappropriate resource allocations. And that's the bad story is 68% fail, but the good story is there's way room for improvement. What we're talking about today is a 3-step approach. We only have 20 minutes, and 3 basic steps you need to succeed in resource management. How you do your staffing, if you want the prerequisites for successful staffing. And then we go into a demo where I show a product, how you can unite the views of the project manager and the resource manager. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, raise your hand, and I'll try to catch you up. 3 steps to successfully staff your resources. First step, you definitely need to know what's going on in your company. You need transparency on the resource allocation. You need transparency on the capacity, what you have. You basically need to know if there are gaps, if you can deliver more projects, if you are over-allocated. And trust me, most of our companies we are in, they're just over-allocated, and you need to prioritize. You need to have a portfolio that's working. And that's step number 2. You need to manage the long-term capacities. You need to know if a project's coming in, could you really handle this project, or are you just over-allocated and this is still coming on top? What will happen? Either one or the other projects, they fail, they are stopped, they are prolonged, whatever. So that's basically something you need to do before you try to discuss on a lower level. Can I use your resource or can I use your resource? And if the resources are over-allocated, it doesn't matter. They just don't do their work. They have only one project they can do at a time, or multiple in parallel, of course, but at one time, just one project. So before you commit on resources, before you discuss between project managers and resource managers, just make sure that your portfolio is working and the load is fine. Jumping in, we have the PPM Resource Center. Who's familiar with this? Raise your hands. Okay, few. Okay, then I start a little bit vocabulary. We have a capacity line. The black line is the capacity line. You have resources in your company. Resources build a capacity, 100% resource, 2, 3, 4 people is 400%. That's the capacity line of one resource, of one department of your entire company. It depends how you slice and dice it. Then we have the workload. It's the projects where the people are working in. So here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects working this time frame. That's the workload. So we are talking about capacity. The capacity line is the cap, and the workload is measured against the capacity. Do we have an over-allocation? Do we have free time? Then we are talking about time phases. If the time phase, if the month or the weeks, if you have sufficient capacity there in those phases. With the point of view of a resource manager, this is great because you have a beautiful overview with standard capabilities of Microsoft Project, what's the capacity, you have a little slack here, so you can schedule another project. But let me ask you one question. What's wrong with this view from the point of view of a resource manager? Any clue? Yeah. Some people might be over-allocated. Yes, that's one point. Another point is this graph, this report relies on all project managers always updating their project plan. If one project is prolonged or capacity situation is different and they don't update their data, basically, you don't have any clue if this situation, this live situation, is real or not. So you need to rely not on one project manager, but on all of the project managers your resources are working in. And that's the largest issue there. The report is great to start up, to kick off. It's great to build your own portfolio, to know where you are. It's great, so you can spend a year or so with our customers to create such graph. But nevertheless, you need to rely on it. Then the second point is you need to manage the long-term capacities. You get the chance in Microsoft Project to build a new project, to build the team in the project, and you can work with proposed and committed resources. Basically, going back to this one, you can say, well, I would like to include proposed bookings or not. That means you can juggle with ideas, another project coming in, you can try to staff it, and then you can activate this, and then you see the workload. You can activate and deactivate the information there. Once you have planned the long-term capacity, you need to then go the next step and unite the views of the project manager and the resource manager, and it works like this. You have your project planning like your regular project. You click on a button and you demand your current workload based on the project plan. Then the resource manager or resource managers, depends on the resources in your plan, they perform the staffing. You can demand skills, you can demand real resources, and then they perform the staffing and they supply the resources to your project. And afterwards, we have beautiful reporting where you can compare resource manager and project manager view. Any questions so far? Then we start into the demo. What you see here is the Project Web App, the web client of Microsoft Project Server. And we have the Resource Center here. It's a list of all resources, right? All resources in your company that you are allowed to see. I select one resource, for example, Adam Bar, and I go into the resource availability chart. And that's basically the same chart you've seen a few minutes ago in the slides. I switch from resource view to project view, and here you see the information, live information from your system, and what's happening if you say, I would like to include the proposed bookings. Remember the ideas that you're juggling with. Click apply, and and you see that this project, I've called it proposed project, is planned in here, and you see that the capacity is sufficient or not, and then of course you can select and deselect projects and try to do some simulations if you want. So that's the basic requirement before you start to talk about resource supply and demand. Then, now I've been the resource manager, I switch back into the role of the project manager. Who knows this? It's project client, it's a standard client, it's the standard tool for project managers. And what you see here is a basic project plan, one project summary task, one resource, very easy, assigned from March till August with a special capacity here. What you need to do here is you need to update the demand, you need to demand the resources. And that's the first time I get in touch with CS Resource Management or extension. You add the resource to your request, and then you can state a comment for Adam Bar, and then you select request, and based on your information in your project plan, as a project manager, you just hit the button, request, and then the resource is requested. That's all the project manager needs to do. Back into the role, Pavel Bensky, of the resource manager. As a resource manager, I have a link here in my project web app. It's called CS Resource Management. You click in there, and you go into the request center. You see all your requests, all the project managers have requested. You see 3 requests here, 1 consultant, a skill resource, and for project conference booth planning, that's the project you've seen. We have Adam Barr here, and Adam is one of my key resources with a comment. That's what the project manager has requested, and now we want to answer this request. Therefore, I edit this request. I jump in, and what you see here is the resource selection. Okay, I've requested Adam Barr as a real resource. The real resource is pre-selected, and I see my demand, my demanded work here, 36 hours, 44, 42 hours. That's the numbers you've seen in the project plan. And now my job as a resource manager is to fill this up. I can do it manually and click in here, or use this quick fill function called as requested. It's filling up the numbers automatically here, but of course it's there's one constraint, and that's the remaining availability of the resource. So if the resource doesn't have any availability, so it's not overstaffing. That's all I need to do. Next step is I need to add Adam Barr to my request, and then I need to commit on that request, and I'm done. I'm basically done with my staffing. I've pre-committed, and right now we are done with the job as a project manager and done with the job as a resource manager. Now we would like to compare. We would like to compare the situation. We have multiple reports. I will jump into 3 reports here. One report is capacity versus supply. The other report is supply versus the project plan on a resource level. And this one is comparing demand and supply for an entire project. I jump into the reports. First report, capacity versus supply. And now we have for Adam Barr following situation. We have the capacity. That's the same capacity line like in Microsoft Project Server, what you've seen in the Resource Center. It's the same line. But here, the bars is not what the project manager has planned. That's what I, as a resource manager, have supplied to the projects. And I'm scrolling down here, the details. I have, hang on, committed supply for 3 projects. I've committed supply for resource demand management project, resource skill management project, and resource staffing project. That's my supply for the projects. And as a resource manager, I see, well, that's what I've supplied. I have free capacities here. And from 2015, there's no project planned. So that's a great report where I can measure myself as a resource manager. Now, jumping back into the next report, it's called supply versus plan. Now, the supply is compared. So the supply that what I've supplied as a resource manager is compared to that what the project managers are planning. What you see here is that we have supply for multiple projects, and we have overbooking. Some project managers are not don't have supply, but just they have planned my resources. If I scroll down, so this is the graph. You see, well, there's something wrong here. If you scroll down, you get all the details, and you see that we have, for this project, I didn't hit the commit button, but for this project we have work planned, but no supply. So that's the situation, and now I'm able to talk. I'm able to talk, as a resource manager, I'm able to talk to the project manager, and other way around. But maybe the project manager is not looking at a resource, itself, it's looking at their projects. So that's why we have the report project supply. And this one is comparing, it's demonstrating one project. It's the project resource skill management as an example. And it's showing 3 resources planned in my project from April till August, so 5 months. And it's showing those data bars here. Blue bar means I have used supplies. So someone, as a resource manager, I've supplied the resource. And as a project manager, I've planned the resource. 136, 136, everything's fine, blue. What we have here is a green bar. Green means I have unused supply. So as a project manager, as a resource manager, I've supplied 96 hours here. And the project manager only has planned 16 hours. So I have blocked capacity for my resource, but it's not used. So maybe the resource is getting bored. And in July and August, we have overbookings. That's the red bar. It tells me that I have supply for this resource of 104 hours, and I have 160 hours planned. And this is the situation, both roles, project manager and resource manager. And if you want, the team member himself, they could look at these reports and they see, well, my situation is like this. And if something's green or red, they definitely need to talk. And as an update, of course, project manager just needs to update the demand again. And then new requests are sent out to the resource managers. They need to resupply the resource to cure the situation. That's a question. Yeah. Okay, the question was, hey Ingo, what happens if Catherine is booking vacation here? Well, it's the situation for the project right now, resource skill management. It will not show up here because the supply is fine. What you need to do is, you need to jump into the report of the resource manager, like here, or into this one. There we have planned for other projects, like resource line activities and resource vacations. That's what you're seeing here. And then, if vacation jumps in here, you will see that the resource is overallocated, and then you need to talk again. Okay, the question was if Catherine is entering vacation into her timesheet, if it's coming up into the report. It's not currently coming up in the report because this one is another concept. We say, well, we don't use the timesheet itself. We're using a dummy project for vacations. But then if she would book with my tasks, the information would come up there. So that's the different concept. But if you're using the standard timesheet, of course, it's SQL Server reporting services you've seen in the keynote yesterday morning. You can quickly adjust the report. It's quite easy. It's coming with the product, and you quickly adjust it. Yeah, there's another question. Yeah, the question was if I can enter my demand as a skill or only named resource. Of course, skill is possible. I have a consultant here. It's a consultant request. I go to edit, and then I have this resource selection here. And all consultants in my company are pre-selected. And now, or pre-filtered. And now I can switch between those consultants and look at their capacity situation here. And I see a huge demand here in November. And I don't have supply here. I don't have I have 91 hours capacity here. I could staff this one. And I have David Pelton available. He is 150 hours available. So it will fill up with 150 hours. And now there's a situation you don't have any other consultants available, and you still have 47 hours not staffed. So you need to talk to the project manager if you can shift the project from November to December, or if you can use another resource than a consultant. Yeah. Yeah. So it's then we're talking about the resource manager, about the project manager, and you know the enterprise team builder, build team from enterprise, and then you can choose a generic resource like an accountant. You add this one, and you request an accountant or a consultant. There's another question. The question was if it's possible to change the resource. Yeah, sure. If the project manager is adding more workload, it's showing up in the reports. If the project manager adds more workload, he just needs to hit this. Oh, I need to go out here. Needs to hit the button update demand and re-demand the resource, and then the requests are sent out again. Yeah. Yeah, it's it's possible. You can over-allocate the resources if you want, and then the resource is just over-allocated, but the report is showing, hey, you have a situation that won't work. And then, yeah. Another question. Yeah. So the question was, do I need to do something with proposed and committed here? Doesn't matter what state of the resource is. If you don't have any resource in your plan, you commit a consultant. You demand a consultant. The resources are automatically put into the project plan as committed, and then you are working with committed resources. So for our report, it doesn't matter if it's committed or proposed, because that's what the resource manager has supplied that's committed. Okay? There's another question. Yes, so as a project manager, I only see my my projects. Yes, we have some kind of email notification in there, but the question was, are there emails pushed out automatically? Some emails are pushed out, but honestly, if there is a resource situation that won't fit, they should talk, basically. Yeah, so I'm very happy to take more questions, but just let me finish up. I think time is over. Just let me finish up here. What we've seen is how to get to appropriate resource allocation in order to have more projects successfully be delivered and to cure this 68% number. Maybe in a few years we are working with 50%. We have seen how to create transparency with the resource center, with standard capabilities of project server, long-term capacity planning, portfolio planning, prioritization. We had seen some more topics there yesterday in the keynote. That everything is possible with standard allocations, but if you're having a portfolio that is working out anyhow, then you would like to do an integrated planning between resource manager and project manager. You might want to get back to our product, CS Resource Management, in order to have a real supply verified by the resource manager and the workload planned by the project manager that's comparable in the same graphs. If you have any questions, I will be here or outside in order to give the next speaker a little more time for preparation. I will be very happy to answer your questions. Visit our booth, let your badge be scanned, and then you're liable to win a Surface Pro 2. And yeah, happy to have this talk here as a session to share my ideas, and yeah, thank you for attending.